Mayor's Night Out, we're going to introduce Second District Councilman, Councilman Pete Torres, for an introduction. Councilman Pete.
Thank you, Mayor. As you know, this is my last mayor's night out as an elected councilman of the second district. So I would like to take this opportunity to thank all of those that I had the privilege to work with in my tenure as a councilman. I might not get that opportunity again because everybody is here, all the departments is, the mayor, the city attorney, everybody's here. So Mayor, it's been a pleasure to work with you and all your department heads and all your staff. They've all been great to me and in the 7.5 years that I've been here. You have a great vision for the city. I know it will continue. And there's a lot of building going on now, and I know that also will continue. You know, I have called on various departments over the time, especially the Public Works, when Gleason and Perez were in charge just last year and in the years past. They've always helped me with everything that I've asked them. They're courteous and helpful. Felix Gonzalez is the new director. He's also been working with me on certain projects, and I thank him for that. I want to thank Juan Serrano, he's in the audience out there, for every time I call on him. We have a lot of alley cleanups in there since our district is a lot of tenants, has a lot of tenants. And of course, they keep moving and dumping furniture in the alleys and so. And every time I call Juan, he always responds. I want to thank you. The redevelopment team has been great, and with their ability to bring all the projects not only to the city, but especially the second district. There's a lot of construction going on right now, and there's more to come. Africa was great when she was here, but special thanks to Ann Anderson and Juan Moreno. They have always keep me informed of everything that's coming to the district. All the other department heads, I'm gonna miss some, but especially work with Brian Poland, Tom Novak, Ron Novak, Bob Bales, Kelly Kearney, Rich Castro, and Yana of Code Enforcement. Chief Short and Assistant Chief Long, especially Assistant Chief Long. I don't know if he's here. No. Always help me with the Board of Works along with the city attorney. Always the projects that I've asked them to do and complete, they always find a way to get it done. And of course, thanks to he just retired, Lieutenant Pete Moore. He was a secretary lieutenant, and he helped me a lot with all the projects dealing with police matters. And Marty, of course, with the sewer problems that I've had. He was always there along with Jack Smith. They were always there for me. And a special thanks again to the engineering department, Mr. Dean Button and Mark. The engineering projects that we had, and in fact, there's more to be completed this year. I thank you for that, Dean and Mark. I especially want to thank my colleagues on the City Council that I had the privilege to work with. It was a pleasure working with you. You helped me pass the legislation needed for the district, and you were always great. It was always great working with you. But most of all, I want to thank the second district residents for electing me to 3 terms in and for the city council. First in 1998 through 91, and then I came back in 2016 through 2023. And you know, it's been a great privilege to represent the district and addressing your concerns. And whenever I could, we got it done. We had a lot of accomplishments, like the building that's going on now, paving and reconstruction of streets, ornamental lighting, refurbishing the parks, demolishing dilapidated housing, cutting trees, and so on and so on. Everybody was great. And you know, during the years, I have attended a lot of these meetings, the mayor's night out. And by far, I have to say that our district is the most respectful and courteous as far as their conduct and behaving towards the mayor. We address the issues, and we do it so in a courteous and respectful way. But this is the mayor's night out, and not the night to beat up on the mayor. Sometimes we don't get that straight. And in closing, I wish a lot of success to my successor. He's right there in the audience, Mr. Salinas. I wish you well. And you continue the agenda. And all you have to do is work with the mayor, of course, the department heads, the council, and you can fulfill your agenda. And it's been a good haul for me. I'm not lost the election, so I'm forced out of the council, but I'm not ready to retire yet. I feel I got a lot of energy and some things to contribute, so I will continue, even though nature is not good to me. Well, it is good to me. I'm 75 years old, or will be if I make it to July. So I'm going to keep on pushing, and I'm going to keep being involved. Thank you all for your courtesy.
Thanks, Councilman. '75 is young and spry compared to our president, Councilman. All right. Welcome to 2nd District Mayor's Night Out. Thanks for coming out, everybody. We're going to start off. First off, I wanted to, again, congratulate Councilman Pete Torres. It's not very often you get to say goodbye to your constituents right after an election. That's a very, very classy way to handle a tough race and a great career. Police officer, retired, 2-term councilman currently, 2-term councilman before as well. One term, but remarkable career. Congratulations again, Councilman Torres. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started with Mayor's Night Out. We'll start off introducing the department heads. They're here to answer questions if I don't know the answer to your question, which is often. So it's nice to have my department heads here along with me. We'll go ahead and start with
Sharon Daniels, Personnel and College Bound.
Nicholas Farrell, Code Enforcement.
Awana Miller, Community Development.
Juan Moreno, Economic Development.
Levita Sparks Wade, United Neighborhoods.
Bob Vale, Building Department.
Jack Smith, Sewer Maintenance.
Chris Sakalaris, Legal Aid Clinic.
Marty Wilgus, Hammond Sanitary District.
Mylan Krasinski, Port Authority.
Kevin Smith, Corporation Counsel.
Phil Talon, Chief of Staff.
Ron Novak, Environmental Management.
Brian Poland, City Planning.
Ann Anderson, Planning and Development.
Jim Taylor, Department.
Dean Button, Engineering.
Andy Short, Hammond Police.
Felix Gonzalez, Public Works.
Tanisha Greenwell, City Controller's Office.
Jeff Smith, Fire Department.
Chris Campbell, Information Technology.
Mark McLaughlin, Water Department.
Oh, thanks. I want to thank State Representative Carolyn Jackson for being here. Good to see you, Representative. Councilwoman at Large Janet Venez. Thank you very much, Councilwoman. I'm doing the quick scan. Am I missing? Councilman Mark Kowinski, Hammond's First District. Councilman at Large Dan Spitali. 4th District Councilman Bill Emerson. There you go. You're hiding back there. Rich was hiding you. Thank you all for being here. Again, and also to the 2nd District Democratic nominee, Al Salinas. Congratulations. All right, we're going to go ahead and get started. I want to remind you how this works. We generate questions off of your written question. All right, a lot of you in here have questions and you want to talk about it. The way we do it is we start off with the written question, we read it off, and what we do is we take your information down only if you want to give it. We do it so we can follow it up, being honest. It's not like, I want to know where she lives because she asked me a tough question. If you want to do it anonymously, that's fine as well, okay? But we do it so that when we follow up, we know how to contact you and let you know we're following it up. We only have like 4 questions right now, and I'm not complaining. Sometimes I come in here, I have 20. Sometimes I come in here, I have 4. Once we run out of questions, we usually terminate the process, which is fine. We all got things to do. It's a beautiful night out. So, but if you have a question, I do want you to go over there. We have a gentleman in here I know that he's been concerned about something going on downtown, and it's a doctor that has a business down here. We're going to start off with that question. It's a long question. Instead of reading it. Oh, yeah, sure. No problem. How you doing, doctor?
Hi, my name is Dr. David Freed.
We don't let
I'm
go of the
sorry.
microphone. Sorry. Yeah.
I work at United Dental Center across
Yes,
the
sir.
street, and
Thank you for bringing your business here. How long you been there?
Well, my father bought the practice 30 years ago from Dr. Hewitt, and it's been in Hammond for about 60 years now.
Thank you.
And
We appreciate you.
well, thank you.
And
Well,
I know it's got to be tough doing business right now.
Yeah, it's been a real struggle the past year. I've been in contact with your office.
Yes, sir.
And the biggest issue we have has been the road construction. We put a lot of money into making our office nicer because we believed in the project.
Mhm.
And it's going to be over a year longer than expected. It's hard for our elderly patients to get in and out because of the main entrance being closed off. And then just trying to explain how to get to the back parking lot and get to the back door has been a real hassle.
Could I go to the engineer real quick? We're not going to leave you.
Oh, yeah.
I just want to
No, that's
find out. Where's my engineer? Dean. Hi, Dean. How's it going? You got a microphone? It's always wise for the engineer to sit in front of a microphone.
Yes, sir.
Engineer, this gentleman who's got a business, his family's had a business in Hammond for 60 years. I've heard you've written a couple letters to the city. I know I've read a couple. He's concerned. I imagine it's tough doing business down here. He just mentioned the project down here is a year behind schedule. Is that accurate?
Yes, Mayor. It's
Okay. What's going on?
about
Is it
10 months
supply
behind
chain
schedule.
issues? I mean, because this has been a long project. As far as we've been planning this project for over 5 years, sir. Like, this whole thing to me is just a long process. The train, if you want to get technical, the first time I walked the tracks at what became the Gateway Station was 2006, 2007. So it's hard for me to like separate out what started. It's been such a long process.
So the truth is, we were very optimistic in trying to get our project done last year. We got a fairly early start, and then in May, the operators union in Illinois, where we get our compacted aggregate, at Thornton Quarry, the operators union basically shut down for about 5 weeks.
I remember that. That was at the end of the construction season, right?
It was mid-season, right?
Okay.
It was mid-season, and so we had very, very difficult time really making any headway.
Was
And
it just our project that stalled, or was it across the board?
It was pretty widespread throughout the entire region.
What's the status of that strike? Is that taken care of?
Yeah,
since
it was
then?
done in about 5 weeks, and then it sort of trickled over into some other labor condition that happened when we were dealing with some special soil that was made at Ozinga's, or stored at Ozinga's plant.
And I appreciate that.
There was also a cement shortage, Mayor.
Okay. What's the current status? If you were like going to tell me what's going on with downtown Hammond, when are we going to have the parking in the middle of the street? When are we going to have the landscaping, all this stuff?
So we had a meeting, this progress meeting this morning, and we expect to start the east half of Holman Avenue in about 3 weeks. So there's a number of paving work that's going to be done over the next 2 to 3 weeks, and then we'll flip phases and start tearing up basically the east half. We expect to be completed around September right now is our goal to try to get completed. We still have a lot of underground work to be done, but the west side of Holman will be reopened and accessible in all cases.
So the whole street will be completed by the end of this construction?
By the end of the season, yes, sir.
Okay, that's why.
So it's not optimistic, but we have dealt with some
No,
issues that
it's not optimistic because it's been taking so long, but you're convinced and you're not, I don't want to put that word in your mouth. You're confident that by the end of the season, we should be all buttoned up?
Yes, sir. There's no looming labor issues that we're anticipating. There has been a mention of some concrete shortages or cement shortages, basically. But so far, so good that things are working well, and we think that the contractor will make a schedule.
Okay. Going back to Doctor.
So with that,
I just
going
wanted to
forward-
get, I wanted to get the latest update because I acknowledge this has been a long process. It's painful. Doing business down here is a lot more challenging than it should be. We are close to being done. That's the good news.
Oh, no, I understand that, but obviously when we had the concrete issue and stuff, we had no sidewalk for 4 months in front of our office. Juan Moreno's been very helpful, at least looking at the problems and meeting with me.
Good.
And he's tried to do improvements. With that being said, it's just a lot for one business and all the businesses on our block to take on.
Could I set up a meeting with you after Mayor's Night?
Oh yeah, that'd be great. Because
I'll follow it up because I don't want to get into particulars about your business.
Oh no, but like I was offered. They told me when I met with a few people that I just wanted to bring up that they told me one of the most viable options is for me to move my office out of the city. For
Who said that?
Well, Ann Anderson and I forget who was with her that day.
Yeah.
And to me, I want to be here. My dad doesn't want me to move the business to our other location because it's so expensive to move all the equipment and everything.
No,
and
we don't
I
want
won't
you to move.
reopen.
And I think there was a misunderstanding, being honest. It's Ann's job to keep businesses in Hammond, so I'm going to chalk that up to miscommunication.
I talked to her today, and that was still the same thing at multiple occasions. And I mean,
okay, well, Ann, who's here? Hi, Ann. I'm sure there's a misunderstanding, right?
Yeah.
It would be the first time I heard the economic development
No.
coordinator or the head of planning and development asking a business to leave.
It is. Hello.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've been working in economic development for 7 years, and then planning and development now. I would never advise anyone to move out of Hammond.
This is a tough situation. I
Yeah.
think we all acknowledge.
I think what Dr. Freed might be thinking is he does have a whiting office. So I asked him during the heavy construction months if there was an option of him pausing on the downtown and taking, relocating those offices to Whiting while we finish up the west side of the street.
Gotcha. Okay.
So.
I think that's goodness. All right. You know what? I don't really feel like you and Ann fighting in front of a whole audience. No, but I do want to set up a meeting with you. And then you and Ann can fight your butt off right in front of me. I have no problem with that. No. I'm not trying to fight with you either, sir. I'd be frustrated if I were sitting in your shoes too. Okay, so we're going to follow this up. Can you do me a favor? Can you give your contact to Christy over here at that? Do you mind, Doctor? And then we'll follow it up and we'll set up a meeting with you soon, ASAP. Probably like next week if that's all right. And then I'll make sure I have the right people there, okay, Doctor? Thank you. Sorry about that. That's a tough situation. We'll make sure we have economic development there. And that's only. Hey, law department, how do you feel about that? Do you mind? I like calling you law department.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I represent part of the law department. I guess
when you hear something like that.
Yeah, I mean, it's always a tough situation. Construction projects always impact businesses,
Great.
and we do what we can to accommodate them as much as possible. This one is obviously impacting the doctor significantly, especially because he has an elderly patient situation. And all I can say, from a legal perspective, obviously the city has the right to perform their construction projects, and they do it in a manner as quickly as possible, and with hopefully as little impact to the businesses around them. We've been working, for example, Mayor, with the businesses on Kennedy in Heskell as well, and trying to accommodate
similar
them.
situation.
Yeah, similar situation. So it's really just a matter of public works and engineering trying to make solutions for the businesses that are there, and hopefully it doesn't become a legal issue.
Cool. Thanks, doctor. All right.
Right over here, Mayor.
Any follow-up? Hi, sir. How you doing? Okay. Is this about our last question?
I feel.
No, we don't. Yeah, sir. It's a policy. Sorry.
All right. Despite of what I'm hearing here this evening, I wrote some things down. I want you to listen to this.
I mean, we just have simple rules. but-
Okay, Mr. Mayor, what are you going to do with the city of Hammond that is falling to ruin? Empty stores,
All right.
buildings boarded up, streets that aren't completed, but there's still construction going on elsewhere.
Is that a question?
Both Hammond and surrounding areas of Hammond are ghost towns. Day and night, people are in fear. Residents are not seen on city sidewalks anymore.
Where do you live?
My wife and I, where we came from, we only seen 3 people, and they were going to one of these fast food places. Other than that, we didn't see nobody.
Okay. All right. Is this your question?
How do you, Mr. Mayor, how do you plan on living all of the city of Hammond?
How do I plan on what?
How do you plan on living up the city of
Okay.
Hammond?
Thank you, sir. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Thanks for the question. I'm up for re-election right now. If you want to run for mayor, you could sign up. There's nobody running against me. There wasn't a Republican or a Democrat that ran against me. And 4 years ago, when I ran for mayor, there wasn't a Republican or a Democrat that ran against me then either. And what I'm saying that, sir, is because you do feel the way you do. I respect the way you feel. People have the right to feel the way they do, okay? I just think that you're in the extreme minority in those opinions. I think you're in the extreme minority when you say Hammond's a ghost town. In fact, Hammond's the biggest town in Northwest Indiana. I think you're in the extreme minority when you say Hammond residents live in fear. I've lived in this city for 20 years. I've never been scared in this city. And I drive everywhere, all hours. I don't know how to respond to your question other than say, sorry you feel that way. I'm just going to keep working hard for our city. And most people that come to Mayor's Night follow the rules, sir, and you're not. So we're going to pay attention to the people that follow the rules. So let's go ahead and do the next question. No. We follow the rules here, sir. Thank you. Hi, is that a follow-up to this?
Yeah, it was.
Thank you,
I
sir.
just got a question, because you have the Kennedy project going on, and you also have the downtown Hammond.
Very similar types of projects, yes.
Can the,
And this is like a follow-up to our original question, so
Yeah.
I love it. Thank you.
Can the resources of the Kennedy be shifted more towards the the Home and Avenue project?
Okay,
You
great
know,
question.
to make it be faster.
So you're like, if we're short on concrete for one project, can we shift the concrete to the other project to finish one, right?
Yeah.
But you have to understand, sir, I'm the mayor of the whole city, and I'm getting a lot of static right now in the 2nd District, rightfully so, because this is a major construction area right now. When I'm in Hessville, I get the same thing in Hessville, and they want Hessville to be prioritized over downtown Hammond as well, and my job is to make everybody happy. So, they're very similar jobs. They're very similarly situated, funny enough, right? About halfway done. Is Kennedy also going to be buttoned up by the end of the year?
It'll be ahead of schedule, yeah, for this year. I'm sorry.
So
It'll be finished before this project.
So the funny thing is, these two projects are very, very similar, the entire thought process behind them, and they'll both be done around the same time. But so I'm not sure if I answered your question or not. I was still reeling from the gentleman's question. If you look at if you want balance, and if you look at how much we're spending downtown versus what we're spending in Hessville, it's completely out of balance. The amount of money we're putting in downtown Hammond right now in the 2nd District, if you count the project that the council and the mayor signed on to with the South Shore, right now, with confidence, looking you in the face, there's $100 million plus going on right now in the 2nd District. $100 million in the 2nd District. In Hessville, I love Hessville. That project's a $5 million project. Okay, so the balance is way in the second district, by the way, and that's great. Second district leads, it has a lot of different challenges, and it's right in the path of the new South Shore. So that's a blessing to the second district. It's going to result in tons of investment. By the way, second district residents, I was just in the building next door yesterday, going through, looking at the new developments and the condos they're building next door, and they're gorgeous. They've gutted that building, the Bank Calumet building, and they're building market rate condos. They're going to be rented. Phil, where are you? Look at that. Yeah. When are they going up?
Their plan was to have their marketing agent start leasing in spring of next year.
Right.
And they're hoping that by June or July, they have a good understanding of how the leasing's going, and then they'll take it from there.
Okay. Thank you, Phil.
You're welcome.
So we got a lot going on in the second district. I'm proud of what we're doing in Hessville, but in the second district, there's no district in the city of Hammond with more money being spent in it right now than the second district. And it's not even close. The next district close is the fourth because of the train and the investment we're doing in the fourth. Second, the fourth right now has significant investment going on right now. Where I live in the fifth, we've got a couple things going, and but this is where the action is right now. That's why it looks like this. That's why the doctor's upset. I get it. We're going to be done, according to our engineer, by the end of the year. That's great news. So, all right, let's move on. Sorry you feel the way you do, sir. I hope I wasn't too rude, but it's hard to hear something like that. I don't agree with you at all when I hear you say that. So, anyway. Didn't mean to pick at that one. You want to say something again? I shouldn't have asked you anything. Yes, sir. I respect your opinion. Thank you. And one thing I learned a long time ago as mayor, it really bugged me when I'd meet a gentleman like that and I'd hear what he says and it would kill me. It would I'd go home and think about it and I'd be depressed. I'm not telling you it doesn't bug me to hear that, but I'd move on. I'll sleep fine tonight. I know I'm doing a good job. I'm surrounded by great people that all live here, that are working very hard. I'll get 7 hours of sleep tonight. Sleep like a baby, promise. So let's go. Next question.
Any plans for the vacant land that's on Columbia Avenue and 175th Street?
Yeah. That project I call Dave Ham Park. Dave Ham's not here. It's a joke. I sometimes name projects after people. Yeah, Dave Ham Park is a park with nothing in it. Dave Ham and I think it's funny. I don't know if he really thinks it's funny. He acts like. But that project is going to result in a fire station. The new fire station number 7 is going to be located there. Thank you. We're all happy about that. We're building a new firehouse right now in Robertsdale. That's a new Station 2. We have the money for it, and it's moving forward, I could say with confidence. We have Station 7 designed. We have a pretty good idea how much it's going to cost. We have no idea how we're going to get that money. At this point, I'm confident we'll get it done. So 175th and Columbia is going to be a future firehouse. In fact, I'm going to let the fire chief speak about that. Why am I talking about the fire department when I got this able-bodied firefighter right over here? Hi, Chief.
Almost able-bodied.
Yeah.
Like the mayor said, Station 2's a go. They should start breaking ground.
Station 2 is Robertsdale, by the way.
Robertsdale, where the environmental center was, and the tennis courts in Clark Field. That's where the station will be. Should break ground, I think, around, Kevin, July? That's right. Yeah. So around July. Station 7, like the mayor said, it is designed. We went through this last year with the architects. It's done. We're ready to go. It's just, like the mayor said, we're trying to figure out how to pay for it. So obviously that's his job. That whole corner will be taken up. I don't know was there any plans, Mayor, for south of the station eventually?
The new one?
It's 75th.
Oh.
Like the station's going to take up a big footprint. I didn't know if you guys had any other plans for south.
Nothing at this point. Probably just a park.
Yeah. So Dave Ham Park.
Dave Ham Park. Yeah.
But that's it. I mean, Station 2's a go, and Station 7's ready to go.
Yep. So I have Jeff Long Lake too. That's another part of the town. We'll talk about that one down the road. Yes, ma'am.
Was there talk of a retention pond?
There was.
10 years ago?
Yes, ma'am. In
And
fact,
so that's
Marty,
gone?
Marty, could you talk on this? Do you mind?
Okay.
Marty's the CEO of the Hammond Sanitary District, and we went through a whole process where we needed to identify places to store stormwater. That's how it started off, right?
Yeah, it's exactly how it started off. And as technology changed, as we took about 3 years to acquire all that property, technology changed and they came up with a better way to do it other than having retention ponds. Retention ponds are good because it allows us to store, 20, 30 million. That one would have been a little bit smaller until we catch up and then we bleed it back into the system. When it's empty, it would be the same kind of thing that the old Wilson has in their retention pond. It'd just be a dry area that could be used as a park. This is a better deal for both the city and for the sanitary district. So it's called a CDMF. They're Kloss filters that will now capture the water at the river as it's coming from both Highland and Griffith instead of having to put it in a pond. So with this new technology, I told the mayor that we no longer needed that, and of course he had a use for that property.
Thank you. Any other questions on that? All right, cool. It's going to be a quick mayor's night. If you got questions, please submit them over here. We got a couple more. And I'm fine with that. I'm not going to cry if you guys knock it out of after an hour. But. Okay.
Oh, your question? Yeah, it was next.
Okay.
That's okay. I have a question about sidewalks on
Yeah.
143rd Street.
Okay.
From Columbia to Ash.
Okay.
There are sidewalks on 143rd for Elm Street, but they never have had them for Hickory and Ash.
Okay. Are you writing it down or could you? Okay. Mentally writing it down? Because we have a sidewalk repair program. The gentleman that does that works for Dean in the engineer's office.
And that street's very narrow, so I
Usually,
mean,
in a case like
cars-
that, we would work with the councilman. The councilman usually would put in some money, like Councilman did, and then we would usually match it. I would match it, or capital improvements would match it, and you'd have a big number, and then you would use all that to get the sidewalks done. I imagine that's what's going to have to happen. Usually, we do that in the middle of the summer. Hi.
Yes, Mayor, there's money in the account to get that done, so hopefully we'll do it this summer.
Cool.
If the engineer designs them, we'll get them done.
All right, that sounds like a challenge to the engineer. No problem. All right, he's mentally designing it as we speak. Thank you, ma'am. See, something like that would be valuable if you wrote it down now. $4,300 block of Elm, and then we'd be able to follow it up. It's like, that's why we like the written questions. So, but you don't have to, it's fine. Hi. No, that's free. Oh, hi, ma'am.
Nashville.
Yes, ma'am.
I was just wondering, I think I've missed out on what has happened with the plans for either the railroad crossing
question.
under or
Thank
up. Maybe
you.
you can go over that, please?
Thank you, ma'am. Yes. So we've had a number of meetings on this. I can't believe I didn't bring this up myself, actually. So there's one proposal where we have funding. I call this Governor's Parkway. The reason is eventually it's going to connect up to Morton High School. So we call it Governor's Parkway. Governor's Parkway goes from 173rd right by Doug Paris's barbershop, just to the east of his barbershop. There'll be a street that goes north off 173rd there, Governor's Parkway. And Governor's Parkway will take you it'll be north-ish, fly you, maybe a little bit like northeast, fly you over the Norfolk Southern line, and then it lands you right around the 7100 block. And what we're gonna do there is you'll be able to continue straight, and it'll eventually take you to Parrish, or you could turn right at the new 171st, and it'll take you over to Parrish. No, excuse me, to Grand. So you would have two ways to get to either 169th or to Morton High School, Scott Middle School, that way, without stopping at the Norfolk Southern line. Now, let me go through the progression if you don't mind, okay? That's good plan for cars, for sure, which is a problem, by the way. Traffic can't move when the trains stop. It's a good plan for people on bikes, but realistically, little kids walking doesn't solve the problem. We acknowledge that. So now we're working with the Federal Railroad Administration. We're working with Norfolk Southern Line, and we're working with our engineers to try to come up with a proposal that'll take care of the little kids in Scott Middle School, which will help with bikes and kids. So we'd have one bridge, a pedestrian bridge, devoted to bikes and kids. The other bridge, Governor Parkway, will take care of bikes and cars. With those two bridges, I fairly with confidence would say we solve 99% of the problem we have. And I think that's the plan. And it's going to cost some money. The Governor's Parkway, that bridge is $13 million? $10
million plus engineering.
12? 12 million. The other bridge that we're talking about is not even designed yet. It's $5 million all day. So for $17 million, we could fix this problem in Hessville. So you could literally park a train there, and it wouldn't affect Hessville if we built both of those bridges. One bridge isn't going to really do it. The other bridge isn't going to really do it. It has to be both of them. That's what we're working on. We got one bridge financed through the state of Indiana. That's Governor's Parkway. We're working on the other one right now. That's exact status, ma'am.
north of 169th would be demolished?
No, ma'am.
Not at all? So
Not
that
at all.
would be all?
Not at
okay.
all.
And there's no plans for anything underground either
No,
at
ma'am.
one point?
No, ma'am.
Okay. So when will this take effect, hopefully?
Good question. Dean? So we're talking Governor's Parkway, the bridge now.
Governor's Parkway bids in March of '24. It's 2 construction seasons.
Okay, so we'll be driving on
26
that.
it'll be open.
Right. Okay. And by the way, 26, we're driving on it. We started planning this project in
2018.
2018. That's how long we're talking. And that's when I heard the people in Hessville, they have better ideas and you should do this. What they don't realize is that completely starts the whole, assuming we could get the money for the new project, the clock starts all over again. It's day 0. And we'll be 8, 9 years later, hopefully at this point. So it wasn't worth the risk. Thank you, ma'am. Yes, sir. Eileen? How you doing? Oh, look at that. How you doing, sir?
Hey, Mayor, is there any possibility of you bringing public transportation into Hammond? I'm noticing like probably a lot of people see the bus from Gary is coming in here. Why would a bus always from Gary coming in here? Don't we deserve public transportation? Now, if
Yeah.
you're having problems, why don't you link up the Chicago transportation running right into Hammond?
Thank you.
I think it would be a success.
Thank you. Good question. The Gary line is funded by the taxpayers of Gary. Hammond helps with about $50,000 a year for that, but the majority is paid by the Gary taxpayers. Do we deserve public transportation in Lake County? Yes. Resoundingly, totally agree with you. Does Hammond have the sole responsibility to provide the residents of Hammond with that? That's where we start. That's where I start breaking off. I think that the region government has failed all of us. That we should have a regional transportation system so that if you get on a bus in Hammond, you could go to Crown Point, and it won't take you 8 hours. You should be able to get to Crown Point, and when you get off the bus in Crown Point, you should have confidence that there's going to be a bus there to take you home, and you don't get stranded in Crown Point. That's what we should be striving for, sir. When I took over the Hammond transportation system, it was not being used very well, and it did circles around the city. And we need to get our residents all across the region. So we could either do what Gary did and pay Hammond taxpayer money to get people all over the region, or we could demand that from our regional representatives. This is bigger than just Hammond. That's where I'm coming from, sir. And I do not disagree with you. And I don't think the Gary GPTC is the answer either, personally. I think it should be, I think people in Schererville and St. John and Cedar Lake should be funding a transportation system just like the residents of Hammond and Gary. And we should all share this burden.
Right, Mr. Mayor, I would add senior citizens really need public
Yes,
transportation.
sir. I agree with you. Look at us agreeing on things like a half hour later. He's like, nope. All right, let's go. We had a question over here.
Can the Indiana Department of Transportation affect your Hessville plan?
Yeah, they could if they
And
didn't
how
like
can
what.
they?
If
What's
they
the
didn't,
status of that?
if they didn't like what happened at that meeting the other day, they could say, "Forget this, we're out." They could. Dean, have you heard anything like that? Do you agree with that statement that I just said?
Yes, Mayor.
Because it's a public
They
hearing.
could.
It was
they
a
could-
public hearing. That's a big deal. That's why the city was present. You know, we didn't leave it to everybody that was anti-project. If we did, if the only people NDOT heard from were the antis, they would have walked out of town with their $12 million and gone to Munster or some other community that wanted to spend that money. Sorry.
True, Mayor. The Indiana Department of Transportation could wash the project, but I don't see that happening. What'll happen is they're required now in about 10 days to start formulating responses to all the written questions and comments, the verbal comments that were made at the public hearing. And generally what that means is they will explain or find solutions to the problems that were brought forward. And that's really the direction we're headed. When it's this far in the environmental review process, that's generally what happens. It's more likely if the city decides they were going to pull
Right.
their support.
If we weren't going to put our money in.
And if we did pull our support, we would have to pay NDOT back the $2 million that
For
they have
engineering.
invested into this project at this time now.
Keep in mind, this project is being designed and run by NDOT. We're bystanders. That's one of the things when the state's spending their money, they don't let us design it and run it. They run it. We put our share in, and they do everything. So most projects. Oh, NICTE's another one. We don't have much to do with the day-to-day on what's going on with the South Shore expansion Okay, we're running this project here on Homan. We're running, Kennedy. We do the local projects, but these big projects like that, we're bystanders. Watching what they do, making sure it's safe. So, thank you. All right, what do we got? Another written. Hey, we're going off the raised hand questions a lot. So, how you doing?
My concern is about cars blocking sidewalks.
Sure, I agree. Pet peeve.
People that have driveways, but instead of pulling all the way in or
Horrible.
put it on the street,
Yes, sir.
they block it.
It's BS.
Alley's the same way.
I know, man. I'm a jogger. I'm a sidewalk user. It's a pet peeve.
I'm a bike rider.
It makes me, every time I see it, I want to call code enforcement.
And we live by a school, and the kids come out of school and they have to walk around the cars.
It's the worst.
Sometimes on the street. So
It's the worst.
is there something they could do?
Yes, sir. Do you have a Do you have a smartphone? I imagine most people do now. We have an app on there called Hammond 311. All right. Do you have that? What that? Absolutely, I have it on my phone. How many people in here have used Hammond 311 or have used it? Okay. No, I'm gonna. Okay, look at. What's your name, bud?
Felix.
Felix.
Yes.
All right. I'm gonna ask Nick, who's the head of code enforcement. Nick, if somebody puts a complaint in on Hammond 311, do you do that like right away, or does it come to you like 3 or 4 days later?
It just depends on how soon it gets assigned. Most of the complaints go to Public Works, and then they have a dispatcher who assigns it to the various departments.
How long does it take you to see one?
Like 2 days, if that.
Yeah.
A day or two, if that.
Yeah. How about you in Public Works? I mean, Jack, how about you? Do you get them right?
Within hours.
I know. That's because I usually hear people say, I get it like instantaneously. So sometimes I guess it doesn't happen instantaneously, but anyway. So, all right, let's move on. I think he's happy. Are you happy? He's happy. All right, let's go. He gave me the sign.
So there is a concern from a resident on the 1500 block of Brown Avenue
Sure.
regarding Illinois plated vehicles,
Uh-huh.
as well as some abandoned vehicles in the neighborhood,
Okay.
and a house that has some issues with dogs.
Okay. All right. Hammond 311, everybody knows that. I'm going to say it again. If you're in this room, you are a community-oriented person. Congratulations. If you're a community-oriented person, you should have 311 on your phone because we respond to it, right? So with a lot of the complaints about the Illinois plates, complaints about dogs that are barking all the time, these are common complaints. In fact, one of the interesting things about dogs barking, which department do you think gets that complaint? Just say it out loud. If you had a dog barking constantly, who would you call with that? Who, police? That's a good one. If on the weekend, I would recommend that. 911, right? Believe it or not, right? What else?
Animal control.
Animal control, that's a natural. That's police, animal control, right? But they don't really handle barking dogs. Who would you call?
Environmental.
Environmental. What? Right? That was one of those when I took over. Really? Barking dogs, environmental? Ron Novak, right? If it's noise pollution, it's environmental. How about the guy that goes in the backyard? Because we have an ordinance that says you can't burn in your backyard. How many people have seen people burn in their backyard before, right? So really, you know what the rule is? If your neighbor complains, it's against the law. Is that fair, Kevin, or are you uncomfortable when I say it that way? Like if your neighbor's cool with you burning in your backyard, we're not going to come out there and enforce it. Chief, is that accurate?
That's accurate.
That's accurate? Chief and chief?
Very true.
Okay. So people do burn in their backyards. It's against ordinance. How do they get away with it? Your neighbors are cool with it. But if you go in the backyard and smoke the whole neighborhood out and your neighbor calls us, we send environmental and you get ticketed. Because what the ordinance says is if you burn in your backyard, the smoke can't leave your property lines. So unless you have some magical tool that keeps the property, all the smoke on your property, you're violating ordinance. So barking dogs, same thing. Is that dog breaking the ordinance? No. Why? Because nobody called us. You call us, yes, I could hear it across the property lines. Ron comes out and pays you a visit, gives you a ticket. I didn't mean to put it like that, Ron. We would do that, yes. By the way, 40 plus years working for the city of Hammond. Ron Novak, give it up for him. He's been working for the city longer than I've been alive. No, I'm just kidding. That's not true. So, all right. Yes, ma'am.
In someone's backyard?
That's, yeah.
Yes. Is that a 311?
Violation of code? Good question. Nick, grab a microphone, please. This is Nick Farrell. He lives in North Hammond. He's the head of code enforcement. Nick, what's
Yes.
the rule on that? That's interesting to me.
Vehicles are not allowed to be stored in your rear yard unless they are on an approved driveway. So asphalt, concrete surface, non-porous material. But yeah, if the junk vehicles are considered if they can't operate under their own power, so flat tires, broken windows, non-plated, we will go out and give the owner a warning to remove the vehicle from the property, or they'll get cited.
And same as like a vehicle on the front lawn, which I hate.
Yes.
I call code enforcement every time I see that.
Yeah, it's absurd.
Yep, it's absurd. I like that.
Okay, so they can't store any vehicles in their backyard?
Unless it's an
on a
extended
concrete.
driveway
Okay, got
with
it.
a poured driveway.
Right.
Can't be grass. It's got to be asphalt.
Okay.
Cool. All right, we got no questions left. All right, this is
You
unprecedented.
addressed the last two.
All right, all right. We're gonna go off the floor for a couple more minutes, okay? Unless somebody has a quick question. Yes, hi.
Hi, Mr. Mayor. I
Hi.
just want to say a shout out, thank you to Felix Gonzalez on your team there. A quick response for a request that I sent to the State Highway Department, and I waited over a year. I let him know the problem with the wildlife signs to help out, and a quick response.
Where was that?
On Calumet Avenue,
Uh-huh.
near the toll road.
Yeah.
I waited over a year for the State Highway Department to help me. They never did. I handed it over to Felix, and he got it done in a quick response follow-up, and I want to say kudos to him.
Kudos to Felix. Quick question. Are you related to Felix? No, I'm just kidding. Yeah, right. He is a great guy. He's a brand new department head. Public Works is one of the big departments in the city of Hammond. Felix is a young guy, should be running that department, and he was like the universal pick of the people that work in Public Works. So, and he's done a great job since he's been there too. So, hi.
Hi there, good afternoon. Just a quick question. Any plans to put streetlights in Kane Street, 600 and Kane by any chance?
I'm not sure off the top of my head. See, I'll be honest, how this works, and then I wish I had the kind of brain where I could memorize every block in the city of Hammond.
It's between Calumet and...
Right. But what I'm saying is, like, for me, just to know where that is one thing, and then to know the exact lighting status, and if that's on the list, it's impossible for my limited brain space. So what we do is we have the Capital Improvements Board, Dean has a list, and we add things to the list, and that's the right way to do it. So if you don't mind, after, maybe we could talk to Dean, and then your council person usually is involved in that as well.
Okay. No, and I'm asking because we have been living there for 15 years, and we have been requesting lights.
I love
and
it. I want to
hasn't
do
happened.
that. I know. I want to do it for you. And if you think about the entire city right now, about every residential block in the city, about 20, what percentage of every residential block in the city is lit with ornamental lighting? 20%?
20 to 30%.
Right? I mean, no, it's not embarrassing. I wish that we had 100. It's like 20, 25% right now. And we want to make that 100, but it's expensive, as you can imagine. And
Oh,
we
I
do it
understand.
one block at a time, you know.
Because we have been waiting forever, so that's why it's like...
Okay. Do you know how you get these things done?
Please guide me.
Exactly what you're doing right now. You fill things out and you put your block on there and say we want lights on the
we have
this
done
block
it.
of this.
We have done it.
went to a meeting and we talked to the
I don't know who was it.
to Peter next to you and the older man before him. They went to the house. They show up. They promise, especially when voting days. Oh man, they show up the day before and the days after.
Uh-huh.
The guy promised me that he was gonna clean the train track lines right in front of my house. They robbed some cars in there. Some kids playing in the middle of the night. I asked if they can clean. I asked for a tree. I called the city 3 times asking about the tree falling down on top of the cars. They say, oh, no, it's not our job. It's part of the Folks, what's the name of that train company?
Norfolk Southern.
Yeah. We called them. I took the number from the crossing train number, and they said, no, that's part of the city.
Right.
If it goes 6 feet from the street, it's part of the city. I called the city again. They said, no.
Did you fill out a question, sir? Could you fill out a question so I could like follow this up tomorrow? I'll go out there with my own eyes
Sure.
and look at it.
That's one thing. The second, right at the end of the summer, we went to the meeting in the city hall. They let us talk about the traffic. Same street, Kane Street. Is the street right in front of the police station, or right behind the police station? Some people think that it's an alley, but it is on a street. We live in there. We pay taxes like everybody else. We've been asking for the pavement, the sidewalks, and the lights, and they just say yes. Last time that I went to a meeting, I think he was dealing with the money with the other guys, and we told them that we catch the team, the electricity company team working there, and they said, you know what, you should go to the city because we already here. It's easy for us just to add more poles on the track signs and just do it, but we cannot take that kind of decisions.
Okay.
I know that you guys follow rules and follow steps, but the guy said, hey, now we're here. We can put the
No, you
poles
can't
and
do
then
it.
we can connect it later.
You can't do it like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have
But
to
we've
engineer it
been
and design
waiting
it.
years.
Okay. Okay. You guys are doing exactly what you need to do and filling things out. Like verbal is one thing, like filling it out. You know, this is my address. You know, so please do that. Fill that out. And I mean, you're making an impact on me. You think I'm going to forget about this anytime soon? No. Okay, and I'm going to be like, Dean, what the hell's going on with this street and what's going on with this block? That's how you get things done, sir. You guys are doing exactly what you need to do. It's persistence.
And the last one.
Okay.
The last one thing, because the house is between Seoul and Calumet. Every time the cross is passing, the traffic is trying to cut the train, trying to pass. And
I know what you're talking about, right?
same thing happened with the buses of the big church. Same thing Sundays. So I was telling the council, if we can add some something to stop them. He said, no, it's not legal in Hammond to add some speed bumps
Right.
because the ambulance and blah, blah,
Right.
blah. But we got to find a way because I'm worried about there. I got my kids in there. My kids go to the school in Hammond. I have 15 years living in Hammond. I'm not planning to move from Hammond.
Okay.
But I got no choice sometimes because everybody's using that little street as a highway.
I know what you're talking about. Thank
And
you.
then it's so dark in the nights.
Okay. Did you fill out the question, please?
Yes, we-
Could you give that a copy to the mayor's office, please? Okay? I'll follow it up tomorrow. I will. Thank you. You made an impact, which is exactly what you're supposed to do. You know the old saying, squeaky wheel gets the grease? You guys are doing the right job, okay? That's how you do it. And democracy, because this is a major need for you. It's super important to you. We have 1,000 things that compete with what you're trying to get done. And the way you get yours across the finish line is being persistent. You know, showing up to mayor's night, showing up to capital improvements board, writing letters, getting your neighbors involved. That's the kind of stuff you do, and you're doing a good job, okay? Thank you. Thanks for being here. And thanks for bringing your child with you all. Yeah, thank you. All right. Whew. How we doing? We done? No more questions? All right. No more questions? All right.
Can we use the 311
Yes, sir.
to report the problems in the alley? Because in the summer,
What problems? What kind?
the garbage truck cannot even use my alley because it's full of bushes and different houses around me.
Yeah.
Yearly, I bring my kids to clean the 3 houses down next to mine because the truck cannot even
Felix?
pass through there
Hey,
because
Felix.
it's full of bushes
Could
and
you help
garbage.
this guy out?
And you can also take pictures too.
See my guy Felix right here, sir? What? Hey, Rich.
They are my neighbors.
Okay. Okay, but we also have options with Public Works in a situation. Well, no, that's fine. You guys could nail them and we could clean them. Because we have, if it's bad, we're going to have appropriate city response tomorrow, I promise. Okay, sir? All right. Last question. Hi, sir.
I've got some information at the end I like to share.
Okay.
They leave.
About what?
The vehicles and the situation going on. Just show you or maybe Kevin.
Is it like about criminal activity?
No,
or-
no.
Okay.
I just want to wait till it's over and show somebody.
Okay. All right. Any other questions?
That's
All right. Thanks, everybody, for coming to Mayor's Night Out, 2nd District. Don't forget your next Mayor's Night Out is in the 3rd District, June 21st. It's Hammond Sportsplex, 3rd District, Hammond Sportsplex. I want to thank our interpreter, Kathy Curtis. Again, thank you to our councilman, Pete Torres. We do have a job opening. If you know anybody that's looking for a job as a CDL driver, we do have job openings. God bless everybody. Be safe. Thank you for coming to Mayor's Night Out.